I'm Jurnee Smollett-Bell. I play Rosalie.
I'm Aldis Hodge. I play Noah, the slave that brings the idea of running for freedom back to the plantation after he's heard the myth of the whole underground railroad thing. He kind of encountered that after he was caught trying to run away, and he heard about this song, and apparently the lyrics of this song lay out this mystery that you have to figure out that leads them after freedom. So he brings us back to the plantation because he's going to be free. One way there, he's going to be free. He needs to recruit a good team, the right people that can get him there, because this is not the day and age of cell phones, cars, Google, none of that. They have to figure it out, bit by bit by bit. So
Did your character read?
That's another thing. I don't know. All I'm going to say is that he has exceptional skills in other places and some skills that he lacks, which is why he chooses his team, because they have all these particular, advantages that he needs to help him make this journey to freedom. And throughout most of this, he's picking people based off of skill, not because of feeling, not because he has really much of a close relationship to them, all except for one, Henry. But he doesn't have any family here. He doesn't really know anyone on this plantation like that until he encounters Rosalie, and he's struck by her strength and courage once he observes her go through a situation where he really gets it at this moment that she really is strong. She understands this the way that I understand it. And this is sort of the first time he's encountered having this connection with someone, even though they have never spoken. They've seen each other briefly, but they've never spoken. But when he realizes this, he's like, okay, this is someone who's a kindred spirit who can actually aid me by complementing what I am and what I'm about. And she has to be here. So he pretty much, they go through a situation privately where he reveals himself to her and lays it on the table and says, hey, do you want to join? Do you want to be a part of this? And gives her the option, and then she kind of deals with her side of that. But hers is also it's a different perspective, because I'm in the plantation. I'm in the field. I'm a blacksmith. I get to see out the world a little bit. I get to travel to other towns occasionally to lease out my skills. I have a different understanding of the world than she does, because she's in the house.
Mm-hmm. I play Rosalie, and as Aldis was saying, she is a house girl. She's been enslaved her entire life, and she's never stepped off of the plantation. So she does not know what the world looks like past those gates.
So she was born
on the plantation, and she's deeply saturated with the brainwashing of the plantation. Not just by the plantation owners and Macons, she's also brainwashed by her mom, Ernestine, who has good intentions. She just wants to keep her daughter safe.
Keep her alive.
And keep her alive. And so she really has trained her up and raised her to just keep your head down and do it as you're told. But she's a young woman, and like any young woman in this, stage in her life, she is questioning everything. And, that sort of questioning could get you killed. The first person that acknowledges that they question whether or not this is all to life is him, Noah.
Of course. Always the troublemaker, right?
And so
Good
he's the
Noah.
first person to acknowledge that this is no kind of life.
Yeah.
And that sparks this fire inside of her. And there's a few things that happen to her in the pilot that really are a turning point for her, where this inner strength that she didn't even know she had comes out. She comes off very shy, as if she has a shy demeanor, but that's just because she's been trained that way. And over the course of the season, we'll see her pretty much become someone that she never thought she was capable of becoming.
So she evolves into
She absolutely
an
does.
actual human being versus a piece of property.
Exactly, and she gains this strength, and it is through the help of Noah, but he does, he gives her this ultimatum of join us or not, and it's not such an easy choice to make, to run, to break free. You want to, your body yearns for it, but she has family here. They could face the consequences if she runs. She could get caught and then have to be brought back and made an example of. She could be killed. Those dangers are really not something that she's ready to take on.
Realization of running for them. say 99.9% chance that you're not going to make it. Either the elements will kill you along the way, you're going to get caught, be killed back at the plantation, you're going to get tortured even further, or anybody that you have any connection to, your family, whatever, is going to face the consequences. So the idea of it is basically we're facing a fight.
You're living in fear,
in
and
fear.
fear is
Exactly.
fear is as much
You know,
a chain as the.
So, is this fear going to push you there or hold you back? So going into all this, going into the honesty of it, I will say that this show is very honest.
It's awesome.
We tell a very honest narrative, which is a part of what I think drew us both into it. I love the fact that, normally I'm used to narratives about enslaved people coming from an objective point of victimization, and as I've said this repeatedly, the show tells the strength of these people and they're absolute heroes. Rosalie becomes the ultimate heroine, and you'll see, because as she goes through these trials, you get to understand what the sacrifice is. None of it is easy. None of it is without consequence. Absolutely none of it. It's like, what are you willing to lose? And we have to make these choices every step of the way. But these people are so strong and so smart, sophisticated in how they have to get by. And I love that because we've never understood that. We get to see real heroes and we have a team that we can root for, but it's a full-on adventure. Every single step of the way, these people are fighting. There's never one moment that the pace slows down. There's never one moment where there's not danger around the corner. And I had such an education just working on this project because I never knew or saw any of it this way. I've seen, again, slave narratives depicted a specific way, and you think, okay, I've seen this story 100 times, and yada. This is something completely out of the blue. And a lot of that is attributed to the fact that it's honest. But the music, because there's so much mystery around this song, there's so much history that goes into what motivates them through these words. The music in itself has its own life. And it's so important that we get that right. And like you said, John has the experience. We've seen it tried and true, with other projects he's worked on, because he's done a lot of soundtracks for film and things like that a lot of people don't really understand. But no, this brother's well in it. He gets it. So I think we're in great hands.
They would, use these songs to communicate with each other, or, they were roadmaps.
It was like the first version of Morse code. Yeah, definitely heroes, man. Pioneers in it.
It's, for me, a hero is someone who has the courage to do what no one else will, and definitely during their time, they were the revolutionaries, they were the people that embodied the spirit of revolution, and because there were people like them that existed, the Noah and the Rosalies, that didn't accept what society gave them and said, no, this is no kind of life, I'm not accepting this, I will fight back. Because they did that, it's why our country's so great today, and it's why we have so many people who still are activists, who are still trying to perfect our country, because we came from kings and queens who were heroes, and so for us, it really is a privilege. But also the thing I love about Misha and Joe's writing is it's complex. They're not all good. They're not just flat. They've got flaws, and some of them do really bad things that they're not proud of.
Noah has a moment or two where you're like, oh, bruh, I didn't know that about you.
Yeah,
Stave off any assumptions, because this is unlike anything you've ever seen.
Thank you.
It's definitely an adventure, an education in the history, the timeline, and what kind of content this really is. But sometimes people will just think that it's going to leave them heavy at the end of the night. You're going to watch it, and you're going to be like, oh my God, you're going to need to watch a comedy after or something like that. This is truly beat by beat a grand adventure. This is something that, again, you have a fighting force that you're rooting for. And there's so much, again, like she said, the complexity. There are people on this plantation that believe in freedom, but they don't believe they are worthy of being free. And you think, how do you think like that? How do you make your choices like that? And it kind of bleeds into how people make immoral decisions today, which is so strange. You don't believe in it, but you're doing it. I don't get it. So there's so many different things that switch up the perspective of what this era is and what the history of it has been. been shown to be. And it's just cool, man. It's just I love it. Like, it's cool.
Filming on the plantation.
On a real plantation.
Being shot on LSU where there were real slave quarters still there. And so you can't help but feel the spirit, you know, of the ancestors. And you look at the trees, and there's these massive oak trees that have seen so much, you know, and the soil, you can feel it when you step on the ground. So that in itself was research for us.
Going to the shacks and you see
When do you
little marks
start
on the walls.
shooting season 2?
Hopefully soon.